Hi there, this is Cece Zach, and if you've worked your entire life, reached this chapter, which I call the third third, and found yourself wondering, now what? Well, you are not alone. Because retirement isn't just about what you're leaving, it's about figuring out who you are now and what you want next. This is the Meaningful MEtirement podcast, where we turn uncertainty into clarity and help you create a life filled with joy, fulfillment, and freedom. So let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm excited to welcome Renee Tannenbaum to the Meaningful MEtirement podcast. Renee is one of those extraordinary people who has built an impressive career without ever losing sight of what matters most. A pharmacist by training and a highly respected global pharmaceutical executive, she has held leadership roles at organizations including Bristol Myers Squibb, Merck, Novartis, Elan, AbbVie, Halozyme, and most recently, Bench International. But what makes Renee such a wonderful guest isn't her exceptional professional accomplishments in a sea of men. It's who she is as a person. Throughout her career, she has been driven by a desire to help others make a meaningful impact, whether that's advancing patient care, developing leaders, or helping organizations reach their full potential. I am honored to call her a dear friend and colleague, and I've always admired the way Renee has balanced achievement with what matters most to her, family. She is a loving and devoted wife, dedicated mother and grandmother who has never lost sight of her adventurous spirit along the journey. Whether she's skiing down a mountain, riding horses, exploring new places, or embracing life's next opportunity, Renee is a beautiful example of someone who has stayed connected to the passions and curiosity that shaped her younger self. Her story reminds us that growing older doesn't mean becoming less of who we are. It means becoming more of who we've always been. Renee shows us that it's possible to pursue excellence, nurture deep relationships, continue learning, and embrace life's adventures all at the same time. Welcome, Renee, and thank you so much for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. And boy, that was a wonderful, lovely, kind introduction. So thank you so much.
It is truly an honor, Renee, because I've learned so much from you since the days that I first met you. Actually, I think you were living in Switzerland and came to New York for a Healthcare Businesswomen's Association Woman of the Year event. And I remember we had a dinner the night before, and you and I met, and you embraced me like we had been friends forever. And I felt this soulful connection with you from day one. I watched your career just explode to senior leadership levels in so many different organizations. And I'm so humbled that you have kept me as a friend, not just a colleague throughout all this time. So that's who you are, and it was really fun to write this introduction about you because I know you professionally, but I also know you personally.
Well, thank you. And I value your friendship as well. So a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. And let's just jump right into it. I have coined a term, MEtirement, and you and I have had a lot of discussions around that. Help me understand what MEtirement means to you and how it may apply to the life you're living right now.
Yeah, so that's a big question. So I love the term MEtirement. I've been using it a lot as I've been talking to some of my friends who are at about the same stage in life. And what I love about it is about me. This is finally my time for me. Growing up, it was about school and having a relationship and getting married and starting a family and taking care of your kids and building your career and taking care of your people. And all of a sudden you kind of work towards this phase now where my kids are gone and thankfully successful and happy adults with their own families. I feel like now that I've officially retired from work, although I am still working, which we'll come back to, I feel like this is a chance for me. And I love one of the phrases you use is freedom. And I do feel that freedom. I feel that freedom to get up when I want, to take care of me physically, emotionally, psychologically, and all of that. And um, it allows me time to do the things that I want to do and pick and choose what I want to do, whether it's gardening or knitting or being on an advisory board or on a corporate board or doing a consulting project. I can take on as much or as little as I want. And that freedom to do that is such an amazing feeling. The part I now need to do is figure out how to bring the joy and the fulfillment and all of that, because it's very easy to take on too much. Sometimes I find myself taking on too much, which is what I've always done. So I love the term "metirement." I love the fact that I'm retired, but still can be active in what is a wonderful career and industry in the healthcare pharmaceutical space. So that has been a blessing that has given me that freedom to now focus on me.
Thank you for sharing and being transparent about the word freedom, because I don't think, especially women, ever aspire to what that may be. We, may have the financial freedom to do the things that we want. But the way that you have just articulated is really using those 5 Ps, that zones of influence that I had uncovered during research. And when you look at what has helped you make the biggest transition from your high responsibility, global C-suite level organizations, what has helped you make that transition to this identity and accept it?
It's funny. I tried to retire 3 times in my career. Once around 2011, once around 2016, and then again in 2022. The first time was when I was at Elan and the company had gone through a transition and um, basically divested their commercial team, which I was leading. So all of a sudden I was out of a role. And the question was, did I want to look for another role or retire? And I decided I would do some consulting, and I worked with Myrtle Potter's group at the time and did some consulting. And I thought that was sort of a phase into retirement.
Do you mind me
Then I went
asking,
back.
can I interrupt for a
Yeah,
second? How
sure.
old you were from a contextual standpoint? Was that
In 2011, I have to do the math, about 60.
okay?
And then then I went back to the industry because consulting is hard if you're
Very
trying to
hard.
do it as a full-time job, right? Um, and I liked it, but it didn't have enough structure for me, and so I had the opportunity to join AbbVie when they split off from Abbott, and I thought that would be an interesting last industry role, and I joined them for 3 years, and that was great. And then I got to the point where honestly, like every day I got up and I said, "Ugh, I don't want to go to work," and I thought that was my message, that okay, maybe it's time to retire. At that time, in 2016, I would have been I can't do the math.
Plus 5,
65,
65.
64.
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, this is time to retire. But then I got a call from a colleague of mine at Halozyme, uh, and it was Helen Torley, the CEO, and we had worked together back in Bristol Myers Squibb. And she said, I would love you to come join us if you have some consulting time. I need your help. So I joined. I said, I'm only going to stay for like a year or two. And I wound up staying for 5 years. Why? Because every day I got up, I was excited to go to work. I
That's
got
the
up, I
key.
went in, I enjoyed what I was doing. It was a small biotech versus big pharma. It was just what I needed. And I said, oh, I'm not ready to retire yet. And I worked there for 5 years. So then it was what? Do the math, another 5 years, almost 70.
70.
And I still enjoyed it. I mean, I wasn't equating the age with a stage in life. and I enjoyed it. And then COVID hit. I could not sit on another Zoom call for another minute. And at the end of 2021, I said, that's it. I have to retire. And so I did. I still did a little bit of consulting, and it was a nice transition because I was able to sort of, when I first, in the beginning of 22, when I first retired, I had lots of people calling me about consulting roles. And so I was busy. I had 5 projects, then I had 4 projects, then 3, and it slowly whittled down, which was a really nice way to ease into allowing me more flexibility and time. And then pretty soon I had no projects. I was still sitting on 2 boards, 2 corporate boards, which was great. But then over the last few years, on and off, a project would come up, and if it was appropriate and I had the time to do it, I would do it. And so it was a nice ease into it. And and uh, it still allowed me to work as much as I wanted and gave me more flexibility, and it allowed me to have more freedom and slowly get used to not working on a full-time high power career.
So I find this fascinating. Here you are at 3 different times in your life contemplating retirement. And my assumption is based on this short conversation is that you had made that decision, but you had been asked by others based on who you are, the value proposition you bring, and the immediate needs of an organization. And if I understand you correctly, that's what attracted you to that movement back into another role, is because people valued what you had to bring versus you fighting your identity and saying, I must go back because I'm bored, or I must go back because I don't feel like my persona, my identity is being fulfilled in any way. Am I correct in assuming that?
I don't know if it was that deliberate, Cece. I would just say I feel like my whole career has been a series of good fortunes and my willingness to try new and different things. And um, as much as I'm a planner, and I encourage people to plan their career and their life and their even their retirement, um, things just happened and opportunities came and I took them and it opened the next opportunity and so on. So I've met a lot of people over the years, and I reached out to some when I officially retired in early 22, and projects came to be because I assume it's because I do good work
Right.
and timing was right and they needed help and I was available and it just worked out that way. I wish I could say it was more deliberate than that. It was just good fortune and my comfort with reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, I'm now at this next phase of life. I can help you with XYZ. If you need any help, let me know." And all of a sudden I had 5 projects, for 6 to 9 months. That was really exciting. And then because I'm just always looking for the next thing, I reached out to my dear friend Dee Dee DeMann at Bench, and I said, I always wondered how I could leverage my industry experience in the search world. And so I joined her team for a short period of time with business and corporate development. And that was fun because, again, it was taking advantage of a network and years of experience and people that you meet to help in the search space. So again, I didn't plan that. It just was, fortuitous having a conversation and being open to trying something new.
Thank you for explaining that. And the point I'm trying to get across is that you didn't fight keeping your identity. The motivation that I'm hearing from you was that you put the feelers out there because you had these skills and experiences, and people came to you for whatever reason. You said that it was a blessed career, blessed professional life, but you didn't fight it. Is my point. It's they came to you, and it's almost because you were ready to transition from the titled role, the high power Novartis AbbVie executive, global executive, to your purpose, which is really around, in my mind, helping people in organizations reach their full potential. And so my point being is that it wasn't about the title. It wasn't about the compensation. It wasn't about the responsibility. It seems that it was just much more centered around your purpose.
No, it's great. You say it so much better than I can, Cece. So, yes, it's interesting. Early in my career, my identity was so wrapped up into title. I need to get to that next level. I need to get to that senior thing. And along the way, people said to me, "Are you going to go after a CEO role?" And I said, no, I don't want that. I love what I'm doing in leading commercial excellence teams or managed care teams or whatever it was at the moment. We all aspire, we want to be the CEO, the head of the company. And at some point in my career, I did. But at some point, at one point, I don't know when it was, I finally said, I'm happy. I'm making a difference. I like what I do. I'm not sure would I love to be a CEO? Maybe, but you know what? I don't want that. I'm happy where I am. And coming to that realization of being happy where you are is such a I don't know if it's cathartic or it's just an amazing feeling to finally just say, I don't have to keep grinding to that next role. I'm happy where I am. And I didn't put it as eloquently as you did. So I found my identity as a pharmaceutical executive, but I didn't have to be that top CEO. But I did want to continue, and I did never knew what my purpose was. And we've all been to programs where you try to figure out what your purpose is and what your USB is and what's your unique selling proposition. I couldn't figure it out for many years, but I feel like it's something around being a connector, bringing people together, and so on. And I do that even today, whether it's in the industry or outside of the industry. I don't know, I just see that and I just bring people together, and it makes me feel good that I can connect people that didn't know each other and might get some value out of that relationship. So, um, my identity was for earlier on than retirement didn't necessarily go back to title and pushing for that next level. But to your point, yeah, it was more around my purpose, and I try to still live that today, which is why I love this industry, because there are so many directions you can go. I just had an outreach from my alumni at the University of Connecticut. And they asked me if I would be on their pharmacy advisory board. So I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I went took another role. But but it feels like I can give back to the university from all the connections I've had in the industry. And so I'm taking on something else.
And Renee, you mentioned earlier that you're looking for fulfillment. My assumption is, though, that being able to say yes, having that freedom to say yes to going on that board that you were just invited to, is fulfilling. It's where you're finding that next side of your third. Is that correct as well?
Yeah, I feel like I'm giving back, right? I don't have to work, but in this particular, like that advisory board, there's a chance for me to take my connections in the industry and help them with the research that they're doing and help them with funding and connecting the dots so that more innovative research can get funded, especially in the absence of a lot of government funding and grants that used to be where they would get most of their resources. So that's one thing. It's giving me time to work on an issue that has been on my mind since I lived in San Francisco around the homelessness issue in this country.
Which is about
I
25 or 30 years, right, ago that the homelessness came to your mind?
More, I would say when we were well, I saw it and lived with it in San Francisco. Then we lived in San Diego for a while. And so that was around 2016. So maybe 10, 15 years that I really started acting on it because I just thought, this is crazy. I'd see young families with babies living on the streets. And I just didn't understand that. And when you work with people, it's not just about giving money or donating it. So I work with them to try to understand, how did you get here? how can I help you? And just navigating the system. And there are lots of resources available in cities and so on, but still navigating the system is just incredibly frustrating. I don't know how people do it. So I was trying to help this family, and they eventually wound up getting an apartment and getting the kids in school. And so that was very rewarding. And I still am in touch with them at 10 years later. But it's such a big issue at living here in Saratoga. When I saw it on the streets of Saratoga, and you know this area, I thought, man, we have a problem in this country if it's here
Right, right.
as well as the big cities. And so I started working with the mayor's office and saying, what can we do about this? And didn't realize how complex it is. It sounds easier to fix it, but when the city council started telling me all the things they have to deal with, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. It's not as easy as building a shelter or, bringing food to them or whatever. It's a real problem. So
Hey,
not that
Renee,
I think I.
before
Mhm.
you go on, do you mind just giving a 1 minute definition of why it's so complex? Because I know our listeners would be fascinated, because when you just said this to me, I'm like, all right, build shelters or make sure they have food. And then healthcare comes into my mind only because that's our DNA. But can you just give like a 1 minute overview for our listeners of the complexity of the situation?
I'm not sure I can do it full justice, but in the mayor's office, so when I just in Saratoga, um, because this is a town that draws a lot of tourists during the summer season, especially, there are panhandlers, and the city's trying. And if you and they know that people come here with money because they're on holiday and whatever, and they're trying to discourage the panhandling. So, for example, they put up. So, how do you stop that? That's one issue. Another issue is the busing. There are literally buses of homeless people and panhandlers that are bussed into the city um, during times when there are tourists so they can make money here. It's like an industry that I think they take them from place to place. I don't know who they is.
Hmm.
So they have to deal with people coming in from out of town. They have homeless people living on the streets, and the police pick them up and bring them to a shelter. But if they don't want to stay in the shelter, you can't make them. So there's a lot of mental health issues. And the police and the city can only do so much to help them. But if the people don't want to stay there and they leave, nobody can stop them. So when you talk about complexity, our mental health net system is grossly lacking to help people with primarily addiction or other mental health disorders. Those are the two big reasons that you have issues. The third is just you're down on your luck or something happened in your family life that you're out of money or you had a health issue and you can't work. Those are people you can help. And
Mm.
I would go to the shelters and help people write their resumes and prepare for interviews. There is a small group of homeless who are in that bucket that you can help, but the bucket of addiction and mental health, I
Yeah,
can't help them. We
yeah,
need resources.
that's beyond
No,
you.
that's just an example. Um, and so I, it's
It,
hugely complex. It's usually complex.
Thank you so much. I mean, you just help open up my mind, and hopefully the listeners as well, that this is something that government and society and local communities have been tackling for years, and they haven't gotten it right. But I am so grateful for you to share where your skills and competencies and experience have been able to make a difference. And so I'm very grateful that
It's like one at a time, making a difference one family at a time or one person at a time. I can't tackle the
right.
bigger political policy issues. It's complicated. It's incredibly complicated.
Okay, I'm going to shift gears now, because to me, one of the most extraordinary things that about you is your devotion to your husband and your family, and it has been at the core of you throughout your life. But now, in your third, tell us a little bit about the joy that you have with your family and your grandkids, and where you go, like the place, that zone that I talk about, finding place. Share with our listeners a little bit about how you wrap all of that in with all the other stuff you do for you.
That's a complex question too. So yeah, I love family. I have four grandchildren. Four, wait, three, four grandchildren.
Yeah,
I have to count.
that
Four grandchildren, West Coast, East Coast. So we travel a lot to go be with our grandkids. And kids are wonderful, but grandkids are great. So that's just a joy that my husband and I really enjoy, and trying to get the family together on family vacations, whether it's skiing in Breckenridge once a year in February, or whatever it is. We try to get together and share with each other. Um, the one thing, the one yes, family and is such an important thing, but the other big thing I wanted to mention is also health. You can
mhm.
plan all you want for your retirement, and you can have all the financial resources you want, but if you don't have the physical and mental health surrounding you and your family, you can't take advantage of all that you've worked for and long to do once you tired. And if I could give anybody any advice, it's like, don't wait to do the things you want to do in life. Do them early and often. And we had a wonderful opportunity when I worked at Novartis to live in Switzerland. And when we were there, we traveled every month to a different country, a different city for like 3 years, and we saw parts of the world that I would not have had the chance to do. I went to Russia, I went to China, I went to India, and all over Europe, and it was amazing. If I had to wait and see all that now, I'd be too tired. I don't think I would do it. It's
Wow.
physically so much more challenging. So when people say, I'm going to wait till I retire to go travel, it's hard. So please just do things in life now, earlier, with your kids, even if they're younger. Do those things because you don't know what's going to happen when you finally retire. I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm trying to stay fit. I'm really
And
focusing.
let me just interrupt for one
Yeah.
second for our
Yeah.
listeners that Renee is my poster child for who I want to be at 75. You're 75 now, right? 74. Okay,
74.
sorry, I don't want to add a year on, but I just she is right there skiing with me every year. She's hiking with me. She's riding horses across the plains of Colorado at a full gallop at 75, and so I am so grateful that you're bringing up health. And there's a piece of adventure to you as well. Um, so
I
I,
I am adventuresome. I keep wanting to try things. I don't know. I think it was you who said something about jumping out of a plane.
oh,
Did you
yes,
say
yes,
that?
yes.
I always had that dream to do that, and my family thinks I'm absolutely crazy, and I may do it. I'm not sure. But I would love to do that. That's always been on my list of things to do. I haven't done it yet.
Well, I think our listeners know that I've done it, and I
Yeah,
must
yeah,
have
yeah.
done it 12 or 13 years ago. So I'm going to keep you whole to continuing to evaluate it, and maybe
I
we'll
will.
do it together.
Oh, that might be
Yep.
the way
Yep.
that gets me going. Yeah. But I'm still very adventuresome. I still want to travel. I'm trying to stay physically fit because the old move it or lose it adage is so true. If you're not doing something physical, your muscles go, your this goes, that goes. You just have to stay physically well so that you can deal with all the issues that come with aging. And that's a horrible word to say because I don't feel like I'm aging, but I know the numbers are aging, and we're all going to get there, God willing. But we have to be in the best shape we can in order to maximize that experience. It is so hard, and I see it with my friends, I see it with my husband. Accepting getting older and accepting the limitations of that is really hard for some people.
Yep.
And I haven't accepted it yet either, and I'm not succumbing to it, but other people have to. And so just being able to deal with that and still find joy and fulfillment in life, even if you can't do the physical things you did when you were 40 and 50, that's got to be okay. That acceptance is really, I think, a hard thing, as you get older. And then I fortunately still have my 95-year-old mother that is living on her own. God bless her. You want to keep that going, but you take parents, you got kids. Kids always have issues, even if they're independent. You got grandkids, you got spouse. It's a lot. It's a lot, and balancing that is hard.
Again, not only are you a poster child for your individual being and who you are to you, for me, where I learn from you every time I'm with you, but you just brought up not only are you in a sandwich generation, but you have had a lot of limitations, especially at this phase of life where you are working with your mother to make sure that she's having fulfillment and joy in her life. You're working with the limitations of family members that have health challenges. You're working with limitations of the kids that you were saying that they always have something that they go to mom for. Let's go back to how you manage you in order to see that beautiful smile and laughter that I'm looking at right now. There is a special sauce you have, Renee, that if we could bottle it, we would make a lot of money.
Well, I have to say, I am an eternal optimist. I am the glass half full person. I don't know how I did that because my mother's the glass half empty, but um, um, I am definitely the glass half full. I try to look at the positive of everything. Sometimes that frustrates my kids because they say, "Stop trying to find the good. This is terrible, and you're trying to find the good." I said, "Because that's who I am." I'm trying, you know, I feel there are things we can control and things we can't.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm trying to focus on what we can control. You can control what you do, getting out and getting exercise every day. That's what I'm trying to do, whether it's yoga or horseback riding or swimming. I'm trying to do something physical every day for me. I'm trying to be spiritual. I'm not a highly religious person, but I feel I am spiritual, and that's always top of mind for me. I'm living in a new town. We just consolidated and are downsized and are living in a much smaller house in a little town, but it's so lovely. And I have to make new friends like I did when I was first got married and we had kids, and you meet friends through your
Yeah,
kids' parents.
yeah.
Now I'm trying to meet friends because I don't know anybody in Saratoga. So I met one woman. She introduced me to somebody else. I'm trying to make a friends network because I don't have that here. I have my kids here. I have my husband here, but I don't have a friend network, which I'm now up to, I think, five. So I feel really good.
It only takes one, Renee.
Really, that it does. It does. It takes one. And yeah, and I'm like joining a golf league, and I'm trying to go to why they have pickleball. I haven't done all that yet because
yep,
I'm too busy.
yeah.
But I'm trying to find that network of friends. Physically, we've all consolidated, so that's such a relief for me to just have downsize and get rid of clutter and simplify my life. Um, I think I touched on all the P's pretty much.
You did the one is around place, and you did mention Breckenridge, but I think and you did mention downsizing because that is so important at this phase of life. I think. Well, let me ask you: do you feel like you've kind of cleared the clutter in your life by downsizing?
Absolutely, I'm not done yet. I still have a little bit to go. But then, yes, I spent years, the last few years, just organizing financial documents and legal documents, and I mean all of that stuff that you don't have time to do when you're working full time, but just getting your house in order, if you will.
Yeah,
I just want to make it easy for my kids. Uh, I'm trying to throw away things. My husband won't let me throw away as much as I'd like to, but I'm kids don't want what you have anymore.
I
They want
know.
they want different things. So I'm trying to say what's important to me. The rest let me give away and let somebody else enjoy it. I'm just trying to make it simple. I'm not trying to be morbid about, but at some point they're going to have to clean out this house.
That's
I don't
right.
want there to be a lot of clutter, and I want to just simplify and get rid of things, and just be able to lock the door and go wherever I want when I want. Um,
That took a
to
tremendous
get out of
amount of courage, because you just mentioned your kids don't want what you have. And a lot of that could be memories, a lot of that could be things. Um, how did you come to that realization in your mind? Because I inherited everything from my grandmother, from my mother. I mean, I carted it from the East Coast to Colorado and got rid of 7/8 of it, spent $12,000 carting it across the country. And I look back and that was really silly of me, but it was guilt in my mind. How did you come to the realization it was time to say, all right, the kids aren't going to want this, and then do something about it?
Um, when I was moving and consolidating our houses, I just didn't. I'm in a small house here. I didn't have room for it, and I just got two 20-foot dumpsters, one here and one in Jersey, and I just loaded it up with stuff that we had accumulated for 48 years. Been married for over 50 years, so it's amazing what you accumulate. Um, and I just, it's like once you start getting rid of stuff, it's very cleansing. It's
Ah,
very freeing. Talk about freedom.
yep.
It's like, I love that. I don't need it. Why did I save it? A young person that was doing some work in my house the other day, and I was having this conversation with my kids. He was about their same age, in his late 30s or early 40s. Said, I said to, he saw all the boxes in my house that we had just moved and consolidated, and I apologized for it. And he said, "Oh, no problem. I just did that with my mother. She passed away, and I had to get all her stuff out and whatever." I said, "What is it with you young people?" I said, "You don't want our stuff. You don't have one." He goes, "We want two things. We want memories and experiences." And I said, "Wow, that's what my kids are saying to me, but not in those words necessarily." Sorry. Not in those words necessarily, but it's about memories and experiences, not stuff.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, that is huge. Renee, we could talk all day, as you and I always do when we're together. And um, your wisdom on this podcast, I have about 5 other topics that I would love to research, just talk to you about. But you left us with so many nuggets that I just want to, in summary, kind of summarize. The first is that you recognize that we may not have our health for as long as we want it. And so if there are things that you want to do now, do it now. Do not wait. Figure out how to do it. And there's always a way, even if there are limitations, to the reasons why you can't do it that are coming up as stories you're telling yourself. Clearly, you were mentioning get out there and go do it. The other that I love that it was unspoken is that, and you don't do this, you live your life the way that you feel, and you don't look at the numbers. And yes, the numbers are always there, but don't look at the numbers. Just go on how you feel. The third that is extraordinary is around acceptance. And it's accepting that we are growing older and there are ways for us to just look at life a little bit differently when we accept it instead of trying to fight it, which is what you did your whole career, which is why you grew as a phenomenal global C-suite leader, because you accepted what you had and who you were and what you wanted to give instead of always looking for the next title. The other is you're an eternal optimist. I mean, it's, the positive in everything. And I hope that people would say that about me as well, is that, the glass is always 2 glasses full. But the other things that I want people to really think about as well is you mentioned spirituality, which is something that I would like to talk about in another podcast, because to me, it's about faith. It's about knowing that there is a higher power, and we can use the higher power to help us at some point. And not to mention the things that you do for yourself, which, I mean, gosh, this was so full of so many nuggets. You exercise every day. You've moved, and for those of you that are wondering, since she did live in California, this is Saratoga Springs, New York, she's referring to, and this is her new home. This is her place. And you downsized to do that, and you are striking out and building your community with 5 new, I'm sure they are amazing friends. I can't wait to meet them.
Yeah.
So, Renee, I want to take a moment to thank you, not only for your time, because you are busy. I would have to imagine that you're probably busier now than you were when you had a prescribed 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. calendar, because you're doing things that you want to do and you're always jumping into them. So I just thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your love, your support of me. And I can't wait to get you back on again sooner rather than later.
Thank you so much. You made it very easy. I appreciate it.
Oh, you made it easy. It's all about you. And what I also just want our listeners to know too, and for those of us that can't see Renee right now, she is in her back porch and she looks absolutely glowing because she probably just hiked 5 miles in her backyard. And I could hear kids playing in the background. I could hear the bugs, the cicadas. I could hear the birds. And for those of you that did catch that nuance and had your 5 senses cooking, thank you for sharing this with us, because this is not the Renee that I knew when I met you 30 years ago. So thank you.
This is me after walking 2 miles with my friend, and this is me and MEtirement.
I love that. All right,
Thank
Renee,
you.
from the bottom of my heart to your heart, you have a great day, and I will
You
talk
as
to you
well.
soon.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Bye.